racetrack. Road America, it's one of the classic venues, certainly in North America, if not the world. It's 4 miles around here. Three different places on this racetrack, down towards turn 1, downhill towards turn 5, and on the back straightaway with the infamous kink leading towards turn 12 at Canada Corner. 3 different occasions the cars will reach over 190 miles an hour, linked by some very tight corners. And Justin Wilson will take us for a lap around. James, let's ride on board with Justin Wilson.
Yeah, we're going to get on board here with the number 9 CDW Roosport car heading down the front straight here at Elkhart Lake. Very long straights here. This is such a unique racetrack as we head down to the first corner. Very quick corner still here in turn 1, about 4th gear for these champ cars. They should grab another gear heading down the hill into corner 3 now. So important to get a good run off of these corners because these straightaways are just so long that the speed and the time carries all the way down. They'll get all the way up into 7th gear down this straightaway. Drafting is going to be a huge thing here. You want to run downforce to be quick through the corners, but not too much because it really sacrifices the straight line speed here. And as you can see, there's lots of that. So hard on the brakes down to 2nd gear for the tight turn 5. Slowest corner on the racetrack, then up a hill. It doesn't look very steep from the onboard, but it is very steep through turn 6. There's some new asphalt there. You could see Justin getting a little bit loose on entry, a little bit slicker through the flat out kink here in turn 7. A little bit of a lift from Justin, heading another downhill braking zone into turn 8. This corner is so important to get a good run off of because as we head into the infamous carousel here at Road America, this speed out of turn 8 carries all the way through turn 9. You've got to be so gentle on the throttle, so patient, but be committed on the exit because then they go up through the gears all the way up to 7 through the kink. Absolutely horrifying in this corner is in the wet. Walls on either side as it snakes through the forest here. The Cosworth XFE motor doing its absolute hardest job all year. Hard on the brakes into Canada Corner from 190 miles an hour. Then back on the power. Heading up now to corner 13 under the bridge. Quick little left-hander. And we're coming around as Justin sets up for the last corner on the track, turn 14. Use a little bit of curb, all the road on the exit, hard on the power for another long pull up the straightaway, up the hill, and that is a race, or sorry, that is a lap at the famous track here in Elkhart Lake.
Certainly a very, very challenging racetrack. It is very, very quick, and it's going to be interesting to see who trims out their cars to get maximum speed on the straightaways this afternoon, because that is going to be the key to passing. We've had a glimpse already of the new car that paced the field on the first pace lap this afternoon, the new Panos DP01. Here's a look at the car yesterday when Roberto Moreno took it out for qualifying. And there's a lot of excitement about this car. We've already heard of two brand new teams that will come in next year. Geller's Racing stepping up from Atlantic, Pacific Coast Motorsports, who will run 2 cars for Ryan DeYell from Scotland and Alex Figge from Colorado. They're all here this weekend. Also Adam Carroll and Jimmy Bruni, 2 of the stars from the GP2 series. They're also here this weekend, and everybody's so excited about this new Panos chassis. It really is a very nice piece of equipment indeed. But let's have a look at the onboard cameras that we will have for you this afternoon. Andrew Ranger, again qualified among the top 10, had a scare in the warm-up session, however. There was a refueling glitch. The car caught fire, but it has been repaired. He will start the race. Justin Wilson, he will start from the 3rd row of the grid, in with a chance of the championship still this afternoon, along with AJ Allmendinger. But Bourdais is the man to beat. Lining up for the start here at Road America, round 12 of the Champ Car World Series, and it's Dan Clark who leads the field up towards the starting gantry. He gets a great jump, and there is the green flag from J.D. Wilbur, and it's Charles Walton challenging on the inside of Sebastian Bourdais going down towards turn 1. What a great moment for Dan Clark and for Charles Walton, gets the jump on Bourdais. Super job by both of those two. And there is Bruno Junqueira on the outside line, and here's Justin Wilson diving down to the inside. Whoa, there's a melee, big melee on the outside. Yeah, Bruno Junqueira was in there.
It looks like that might be Paul Tracy. I can't tell. It looks like it might be a blue car parked alongside here.
Possibly Andrew Ranger.
This is maybe Serbia. Is this the red car here
no,
yet?
It's Bruno
Junqueira. Absolutely horrible.
We saw him going around the outside at the first corner. This is for sure going to bring out the full course caution. Yes, it does.
Jan Halen, I think, is also involved in that.
What a shame. Yeah, it is a blue and white car. It is the Belgian driver Jan Halen. There is around the outside going Bruno Junqueira, and looks like some contact there between himself and I believe that would be Will Power, dicing for around about 7th or 8th or 9th places, and then a huge melee behind. We can see Power's car spearing off to the left, Don't think he hit anything. I think he just got embedded in the gravel. James, another look.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. Great start from Dan and Charles there, but you can see just Bruno getting into I guess you can see Will getting into Bruno's rear corner there, and cars scattering everywhere. It'll be interesting to see if any other drivers have wing damage or suspension damage from having to go off track to avoid.
On board with Andrew Ranger. Let's take a look from his view as he's on the inside line there, right ahead of the two protagonists. On the inside is Will Power. On the outside, you can see Will Power just drifts across, just tags the inside right rear wheel of Bruno, sends Bruno into a spin, so definitely some contact there, James.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Ranger seemed to look like he got away with it. It didn't appear from that view that his front wing was dislodged at all, so, I mean, if you're going to hit someone, he hit him in the exact perfect spot, nose to crash box, to try and minimize the damage on Andrew's car. The team will be looking at that right now to try and see from the track and the cameras if there is anything wrong, but Will still seems to be pretty anxious to get back out there. They're trying to, he wants to be pulled out of that gravel trap. Apparently he doesn't think there's too much wrong with his car.
No, that's right. He didn't seem to make any hard contact with anybody or anything. He just beached in the gravel trap. As you could see, he is starting on the red sidewall Bridgestone Potenza tires. As per usual, Bridgestone has bought a couple of tyre compounds here to Road America. The harder tires, the black sidewall tires, and the softer tires, the red stripes. And it's going to be, as we've seen over the last few races, going to be fascinating to see the difference in those tires as this race unfolds. And of course, we've had very little dry weather running this weekend, James.
Yeah, it's been a lot of wet track so far this weekend. Most of Friday was all rained out, except for the end of that qualifying session. Thank you, Dan Clark, for that. So you can see that was Jan Halen missing his front wing there. So yeah, some of the teams and cars still kind of struggling to find the right setup, and the grip on the track is not as good as it would have been had we had dry running all weekend. So the team's all trying to cope with that right now. Yeah,
as you say, it was wet virtually all of Friday. Just at the last few minutes of the final qualifying session, the track was beginning to dry out, but the pole winning time was a 1:55, so still more than 12 seconds away from a dry weather time here. That was the time that Dan Clark said yesterday, and he made a super start from the pole position. James, you raced on this track an hour or so ago. How are track conditions this morning?
The green flag should be set to come out. Everybody seems to be in line. Everybody's on the push to pass. You see all the lights flashing. We are looking at 6 of the top 8 cars on push to pass, and the green flag is going. You see Alex Tagliani coming close. Charles Wolfsman pops out. Alex Tagliani pops out of Sebastian. 4 cars going in 2 by 2 in the first corner.
A tactical error from Dan Clark. He was one of the only guys that did not use the Cosworth power to pass, at least until too late. He used it about as he went past start-finish. Charles Wolfsman's got the lead and the advantage and the lead into turn 1 and through turn 3. They're onto the back straightaway, and Sebastian Bourdais also is knocking on the heels here of Dan Clark. A great battle for second and third.
Catherine Legg fell down a few positions on that restart as well. Was not able to hold back the cars behind her. Right behind her was AJ Allmendinger when they went green. As we see one car pulling out there is Sebastian Bourdais getting by Dan Clark, heading into corner 5, and some blocking going on maybe farther down the field.
Yeah, maybe there is. Catherine again did not use the Cosworth power to pass, and she has paid a heavy price, down to about 10th place. She lost at least 5 or 6 places. I think that was one of the other, I'm not sure who that was, making a pass up at the top of the hill in turn 6, which has lost a lot of positions. There she is now, right behind Mario Dominguez. It is ahead of her in the Rocket Sports car, carrying the colors of Pemex, a Mexican oil company, on the car this weekend. A big jump there for Mario Dominguez. He left Dory. Dale Coyne Racing has joined the Rocket Sports team. He's struggled for most of the weekend, but has made a very good start to this race.
Mario's been really consistent in the races this year since his departure from Forsyth Championship Racing and moved to Dale Coyne. He's been really good in the races, strong, consistent, always there at the finish, and so we expect much more of that from Mario here in Rocket Sports. But right now, Charles, down to Cameron Steele.
I just wanted to point out that he said he has really been thinking about the fact that this is a great opportunity for him. I talked to his crew just now. He said he is performing exactly as they wanted him to, so far running the perfect race.
Cameron Steele, they're talking about Charles Wolfsman running a super early stages of this race. He didn't use the Cosworth power to pass this time around, but he does lead a lap here. He led a couple of laps in competition earlier this season, did Charles Wolfsman, for the MyJack Conquest Racing team. And it was in San Jose. He led a half a dozen laps, or a handful of laps, I should say, to be more precise. But he took the lead legitimately there on that restart. Here again is a look as the green flag is waved. Dan Clark did not use the Cosworth power to pass until he went past the start-finish gantry. By then it was too late. Schwartzman had the run, the momentum, and he took the lead going into turn 1. Here now is there on the back straightaway. There is Bourdais taking the lead from Charles Waltzman.
Textbook move there. Sebastian did get on his Cosworth power to pass, of which he only has 35 seconds of the allotted 75 that they're given for this race. They gave him an extra 15 seconds this race because of the length of the track, and Sebastian has already used up a good portion of that. So we take a replay now, heading under the Sargento Bridge, down into corner 5, hard on the brakes there. Absolute textbook move. He was completely passed before Charles. Charles really couldn't do anything there.
If you look very, very carefully from that shot as the cars went away, you could see that Bourdais, the red light on the back of the car, the rain light was a steady, a quick flash on that rain light at the back. That indicates he is using the Cosworth power to pass. And look at him now, he's pulling away. The Newman House cars clearly have a big advantage this weekend. They've been lightning quick, and it looks to me like that car is running probably less wing than anybody else as well, maybe.
Yeah, they were absolutely stunningly quick. This morning in warm-up, Bruno Junqueira was the quickest runner with Sebastian 3/10 off him. AJ Allmendinger was third. He was 1.5 seconds off Bruno's pace. So both the Newman Haas cars are absolutely on fire this weekend. And you can already see in half a lap the advantage that Sebastian has pulled over Charles. Dan Clark still sitting in third. AJ Allmendinger up to fourth. Alex Tagliani running fifth. And Justin Wilson holding station in sixth. PT is running in 7th, Oriol Servia, Andrew Ranger, and Mario Dominguez running up the top 10. So as you said, Mario making a good start there. Moving up a few positions in the first few laps, which is kind of what we've been seeing of him of late.
It certainly is, and race control, we believe, is watching a few lines that competitors are taking. Of course, we've talked about it frequently in the past. There's no blocking allowed. You're not allowed, and Dan Clark is using the Cosworth power to pass, going down the back straight away here. Is he going to be able to get a run on Charles Waltzman going down the hill towards turn 5? He ducks to the inside. Down he goes late on the brakes. Great move again by Dan Clark.
Again, absolutely textbook. These guys, with the long straights that they have here at Road America, it makes the use of the Cosworth power to pass so tempting, and they're just loving. They're all being really trigger happy with these buttons, and it's going to be very interesting to see who's got some power to pass left at the end of this race. If we find ourselves in a position where guys are close together near the end, as we look at a replay again of Dan getting past Charles, you can see he forces him all the way over there. Charles having to go into the rumble strips on the outside there. Not ideal, kind of compromised his corner. And now AJ Allmendinger is the next guy to try and take down Charles Waltzman and move up into the top 3.
AJ Allmendinger is complaining of understeer in the early stages of the race. So here we are with 5 laps completed at Road America. Down to the pit lane, Cameron Steele was with the team manager of MyJack Conquest Racing, Chris Mower.
Well, I'm here with Chris Mower, the team manager for Charles Waltzman, and you said he was going exactly to plan early on, but now he's getting past. Is there a problem with the car?
No, there's no problem. Here at a track particularly like this, it is quite easy to get by in the straights. We're hoping to get a couple of the positions back. At the moment, we're just talking to him, trying to get him into a rhythm, trying to get him settled down, and then he can concentrate on what he's got to do ahead of him rather than worrying about what's behind him.
You say talking to him and trying to keep him settled down. Was there some nerves coming up there as Sebastian got by?
Probably not. I mean, he was, as soon as Sebastian was by, I'm sure he was probably thinking about Clark, and you know, once he gets into a rhythm, we'll be fine.
Thank you, Chris.
So we're here at Tony's Kazimierz. He's had a problem with his ECU on the number 18 car for the Rocket Sports team. He's just come onto pit lane. Also, Juan Casares for Dale Coyne Racing brought the Sonny's barbecue car onto pit lane as well. They are changing the tyres on that car and sending him on his way, as I see, out of our booth. Sebastian Bourdais, though, is making hay at the front of the field. First flying lap once he took the lead was into the 46s. Everybody else is at 1:48. This time around a 1:46.157. Fastest lap of the race thus far by Sebastian Bourdais. There is AJ Allmendinger now up into 3rd place. So he has got past Charles Waltzman, and now AJ will set his sights on Dan Clark.
Yeah, AJ got by there just as we went to that interview, and you know, there really is nothing wrong with Charles' car. He was obviously helped out by that strategy call in qualifying on Friday to get that position, so he's just going to try and hold on as best he can. I imagine by the end of the race he will shuffle down to sort of where he's been running the rest of the year. So Dan Clark, on the other hand, you know, he also lucked into that pole, if you will. You heard him say that he'd set a time on his own that was good enough for about P8. Made that strategic call, got to pole, but he's the second fastest guy on the track right now. Sebastian Bourdais fastest with a 1:46.1. Dan Clark 7/10 off at a 1:46.8, and he's still the second fastest guy. A.J. Allmendinger 2/10 slower than Dan, and Charles Wolfsman a full second off those guys. So the times are dropping, but Dan is running very competitive times and doing a great job at the front.
Absolutely, he is. Sebastian Bourdais, they're quicker again. 1:45.675 for Sebastian Bourdais, but they're right behind him, knocking on the door. Dan Clark, 1:46 dead. And A.J. Allmendinger also at 1:46 dead, just 0.05 of a second separating those two. About 4/10 of a second they lost to the race leader, Sebastian Bourdais. But 4/10 with the dominance of Bourdais has shown this season is very, very respectable indeed. And Charles Wolfsman, just back to him briefly, he's running in 4th place now, and he's running a streak of top 10 finishes.
Well, I talked to Michael Cannon just a few seconds ago, guys, and he told me that they did change up a little bit of the car, but nothing too risky. I asked him, is that change paying off? He says, I can't tell you just yet, but we certainly are hoping that it will come together for us.
So several guys now down into the 1:46 second bracket. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. In fact, that would be Clark, Allmendinger, Schwartzman, who's still running very, very well indeed, and Justin Wilson in 5th place now, all in the 46s. Bourdais, of course, is in the 1:45s, and everybody else below that running in the 1:47 bracket, led, of course, by Alex Tagliani and Paul Tracy, the old sparring partners, dicing now for 6th and 7th, ahead of Oriol Servia. And talking to Servia's technical director, Tom Brown, this morning, he said that he's got a much faster car than he showed all the way through the weekend. This morning, I believe, is at the 5th quickest time in the warm-up, did Oriol Servia, and running a very low downforce. So there's A.J. Allmendinger using every inch of the road and more out of turn 14, James.
And it's so easy to do. I mean, when you come to a track like Road America with its super long straights, one of the issues that you have in the race is this is one of those tracks where you have to drive every lap as if it's qualifying, because if you let up even just a little bit in the middle of one corner, that little bit of a loss carries all the way down in time and speed down these massively long straightaways. So you absolutely have to be on the limit every corner of every lap, and as AJ just showed, sometimes there's just a few inches too little racetrack and you'll use that little bit more.
And if you have trimmed out that car, as you say, you've got less downforce through those corners, so it's going to make it very, very slippery indeed.
Yeah, it's one of the things about running low downforce setup. You just don't have the mid-corner grip that you like, so the car gets a lot skiddier, and it's much more likely for that to happen. So luckily AJ got away with that one. That one wasn't too big, but you can't do that too often here. It just hurts you too much.
Once again, CTE Racing just doing a stellar job. And there is Dan Clark. I mean, we've seen on numerous occasions this season how quick he has been in the races. Maybe he hasn't qualified quite as well as he might, but in the races he's always been quick. I mean, right from his very first race in Long Beach, he set the 4th fastest lap of that race. Just remarkable speed in the early stages of the season. Right from the first time he got in a champ car, he was just a little bit wild, and his Speedy Dan moniker came more to be sort of Dangerous Dan or Desperate Dan, but now he really is living up to the Speedy Dan image, and he's doing an exemplary job all weekend long. He qualified well, made a great start. Yes, he's fallen back to 2nd place, but 2nd place to this man, Sebastian Bourdais, is no mean feat. And still, Dan has the 2nd fastest lap of the race. Early stages yet, but just doing a fabulous job. But there it is. There is the McDonald's car out in front again, James.
Absolutely boring the crowds with lap times right now over a second faster than his closest competitor, who is still Dan Clark, being the 2nd fastest man on the track right now. And A.J. Allmendinger is not catching him. Dan Clark is holding his own, running a lap about 2/10 quicker than A.J. that time by. But, A.J. is actually on the radio right now to his team complaining that the understeer, there is understeer in the car and it's getting worse. And understeer is, of course, when a driver goes into the corner and turns the wheel, but the front wheels don't quite follow his hand, so he ends up having to put more lock in the steering wheel than he would like, and the car kind of plows forward, if you will. So that's a very bad thing to have here, because that makes you get to throttle later coming out of the corners, and with these long straightaways, it's all about getting back to power.
Yeah, and you see there is Nelson Philippe. There's the other CTE car, Dan Clark running in 2nd place. There is Nelson Philippe, perhaps trying the same sort of strategy that worked for him so well in Montreal, where he came from the back to finish on the podium. A great result for young Nelson Philippe. And again for this CTE team. The last 2 races, TTE has had both cars among the top 5 at the end of the race. Remarkable feat by this relatively small team, run of course by Keith Wiggins and Cedric the Entertainer, CTE, and they're stepping it up, and just they are now a a bona fide front runner.
They really are, and in those last two races, each of their drivers has had a podium, with Dan Clark in Denver, and then Nelson Philippe grabbing third place at the most recent round in Montreal. So that team has really stepped it up. They've proven that they're a front-running team, and once again, this is just to underline the whole season so far, with Dan Clark running extremely competitively right now at the front of this field.
It's the first time in that team's history that they've gone 2 consecutive races with both cars among the top 5 at the end of the race, and this is their 6th season of competition, so quite remarkable. And again, there is the lead that Sebastian Bourdais has pulled out at the front of the field, looking, of course, to clinch his 3rd consecutive championship this afternoon. In order to do so, he will need to score 7 more points over the weekend, 8 more points over the weekend than either this man Justin Wilson or AJ Allmendinger, and right now he's looking good. Bourdais is out at the front of the field. He will gain 31 points if he can win the motor race. Another bonus point for leading. There is another bonus point also for the fastest lap of the race. And right now, the best that the challengers can do is AJ Allmendinger, who's running in 3rd place. So that is good for 25 points. So right now, Sebastian Bourdais looking very, very good indeed. But here is Justin Wilson. That car seems to be handling fairly neutrally now, James.
Yeah, he seems to have a relatively good balance on the car. You can just listening to Justin's throttle application, and actually more importantly when he's pulling off the throttle, I can tell right now he is in fuel conservation mode. There's no doubt the team has gone on the radio and tell him to conserve as much fuel as he can while staying within a specific time bracket on the racetrack, as he's chasing down Charles Wolfsman, who's just in front of him there. But Justin is not pushing to the maximum of his or the car's abilities right now. He's trying to play a little bit on strategy, maybe hoping for a yellow at some point soon.
Yeah, did you listen to that?
He coasts for just a little bit before he gets on the brakes.
I can't understand it, because there's no fuel mixture button on these cars anymore. They can't play with the fuel mixtures. It's all down to the driving style, and it's lifting off early at the end of the straightaways. And with the length of these straights, it's got to be costing him time. I don't see why there's no shortage of fuel. You don't need to save fuel, and he's so far behind Sebastian Bourdais at the moment and dropping back all the time as Sebastian Bourdais pulls out another 2 seconds on him that lap. I don't see why he is worried about saving fuel.
Well, it must be one of those Rue Sport strategy calls. They're working frivolously. They have some of the brightest minds in this sport working down there on computers and notepads and calculators. So Justin, it's bad. Justin, no doubt, wants to be pushing 100%. He's just doing what he's told. No driver wants to have to conserve fuel, but especially at this track where they are on 100% throttle for such a large portion of this track, longer than any other track probably that they go to, that fuel consumption is a lot poorer at this track. So Justin doing the best he can, but out front it's Sebastian Bourdais leading comfortably here at Elkhart Lake.
In the next edition of RPM Rally, we head to the Manx International round of the Irish National Championship. Rally fans, don't forget the Manx International can be seen right here Saturday, September the 30th, beginning at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Now for a look at Thursday night's entertainment right here on Motors TV. At 9 p.m, the Le Mans Series highlights round 15, the 1,000 kilometres of Jurama. And at 11, the AMA 125 Motocross, followed at midnight by the 250s. That's Thursday night on Motors TV.
The season-long battle between Bruno Senna and Mike Conway will continue on when the British Formula 3 champion makes a guest trip to the Mugello circuit in Italy for the 9th round of the season. And you can see it all this coming Saturday, September the 3rd at 3 in the afternoon.
Eleven laps now in the books. Sebastian Bourdais still leads. The gap from first to second is a little bit over 7 seconds right now. He's been very consistent as Dan Clark. The last 4 or 5 laps, all of them just around about 1 minute 46 dead. As I said, that as he comes across this time, it was a 1:45.6, his best lap thus far. And meanwhile, Sebastian Bourdais steps up that fastest lap of the race. He's down in the 44s now, a 1:44.843 last time around for Sebastian Bourdais.
Yeah, Sebastian just absolutely on fire. I mean, he is completely in a field of his own. He's 7.2 seconds right now ahead of Dan Clark, and AJ Allmendinger falling back a bit. I mean, him and Dan were running kind of consistent, close lap times within a tenth or two of each other. Now, Dan did a lap time 4/10 faster than AJ, so AJ might look, and the Forsythe team might look to pull AJ in a little bit early, get some new tires, maybe make an adjustment on that car, be it tire pressures or front wing, to try and give him a little bit more front grip in these high-speed corners, and see if he can maybe get him a little bit happier with his race car.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things, of course, you can do on these cars to alter the balance of the car during a pit stop. And that's just two of them right there. So Sebastian Bourdais, with 12 laps in the books, leads by 8.1 seconds over Dan Clark. Underscoring the world in the Champ Car World Series. Today's race has been broadcast over 170 countries around the globe. We're delighted you could join us here at an absolutely gorgeous Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the famed Road America racecourse. 4 miles around, long straightaways, and already in the early stages we've seen some great competition, some really good dicing going on. There is Catherine Legg. She started in the 8th position, got up as high as 5th. She's now fallen back to 10th, but running a pretty conservative and steady pace here, and staying in contention with Aurel Serbia and Paul Tracy and Andrew Ranger, and ahead of Bruno Junqueira. So as you can see there, Catherine, she's doing a nice job.
And another person who's doing a nice job is, in fact, her teammate Aurel Serbia from his 13th starting position, now running in 7th. Like you say, he was the 5th fastest car in warm-up this morning, so he does have a good car under him, and he is making a lot of progress and using it to its fullest.
And he's running a very, very low downforce setup on that car. They're looking to pick up about 8 or 9 miles an hour. The top speed that he ran in practice and qualifying, or practice because qualifying was all in the wet, was about 189 miles. And there is Andrew Ranger under pressure from Catherine Legg. She locks up a brake going into Canada corner. She can't make the pass this time around. But again, back to the straight line speed. The PKV car, Aurel Serbia, did about 189 miles now on the straightaways in the practice sessions, and with his low downforce setup, they got about 195 miles an hour this morning. Catherine Legg, meanwhile, in the other PKV car, running a slightly more conservative setup, a little bit more downforce on the back, and Tom Brown was reckoning that probably cost her about 3 miles an hour on the straights, Jensen.
3 miles an hour is an awful lot of time with the length of these straightaways here, so it's a great compromise to have the wing up like that. So Catherine, you know, it's a more comfortable car to drive, and that's what she wants right now. That's what she needs. So she's doing the best with what she has, but Serbia doing an absolutely phenomenal job with his low downforce setup.
Okay, there is Dan Clark. We're expecting the leaders onto the pit lane very, very shortly. New fastest lap of the race last time around on lap 13 for Sebastian Bourdais, 1 minute 44.636, and that is already faster than, by a considerable margin, than the best lap set here in 2004, which is the last time the Champ Cars race here. Bruno Junqueira set the quickest lap on that occasion, a 1:45.5. The lap record here in race conditions goes all the way back to 1998, and our great buddy Alex Zanardi was sort of qualified second for the World Touring Car Championship race this weekend. That was great to see. I don't know how he did in the races, I must admit, but Zanardi still holds the outright track record here in 1998, a 1 minute 41.8. Of course, that was back when there was competition amongst the tyre manufacturers and also among the engine manufacturers, so the cars certainly don't have anything like the amount of grip or horsepower they had back in 1998. Here is Dan Clark, and Jon Beek is in the pit lane waiting for the first scheduled stop for the CTE racing team.
And I think the most important thing is that Dan Clark has showed that he has been speedy, not only just by tire choice in qualifying. That's Kelly Lowen.
Easy. Remember,
his race engineer talks him into the pit box. He has the alternate bridge. Oh, it's not coming up. That was slow coming up on the air jack. Talk him through the entire stage. When you hear during a pit stop, you have the second fastest race lap. That's coaching, keeping the guy confident. And that's what we heard from Kelly Lowen. Now, next time around, we're going to see Sebastian here. The leader's going to pit.
And And that was Luis Pericarpi there on the outside front tyre. He leads the pit stops for that car number 14 of Dan Clark. He has made his first pit stop of the afternoon. So he comes in after 14 laps. Sebastian Bourdais, AJ Allmendinger and a bunch of others will wait one more lap before they come onto pit lane. But pretty good stop there, certainly for the CTE Racing team.
Yeah, it was pretty clean. A lot of fuel going in, reds coming off, black sidewall Bridgestone's going on. So we'll see how this, last few races we've had a lot of issues with the different tires. The softer red sidewall Bridgestone tires have been deteriorating faster in the stints and maybe not having quite as good a balance, even though they are a little bit softer and should technically be a little bit faster. So Dan's done his stint, his one mandatory stint on the red tires. We'll see how the blacks work out for him now.
This is Juan Casares here, the Uruguayan there, driving for Dale Coyne Racing, who's making his debut in the Champ Car World Series as Sebastian Bourdais pulls onto pit lane. Here is Sebastian Bourdais, and again, Jon Beekes is in the Newman Haas Racing pit, the race leader. It makes his first stop of the afternoon.
Now, of course, Kenny Seawick calls him into his box. We heard Dan Clark say they had the second fastest lap. The fastest lap, of course, is Sebastian Bourdais. Half a turn of front wing. While he's finishing, let's get to Cameron Seal.
All right, Jan, they were having problems with AJ's car pushing. They were going to adjust the front wing, but they've decided now to just go to the black tires and see if that solves the problem.
Very interesting, James. Bourdais there goes to a set of scuffed red sidewall tires, and AJ Allmendinger switches to the blacks.
So this will really tell him. This is actually what hurt Sebastian. You see AJ Ranger doing his pit stop there. Looks nice and clean. This is actually hurt Sebastian in Denver. Was running his red sidewall tires at a different stint from everyone else, and that kind of hurt him. So he's on the reds now. AJ's over to the blacks. We're going to see how the lap times compare with Sebastian having been so dominant in the first stint of this race.
Absolutely fascinating, wasn't it? I mean, we saw it in that race that you were just talking about. The red sidewall tires just didn't last very long at all. They went off very, very quickly. And Bourdais and Justin Wilson, who suffered even worse, had to run them for a long stint in the race. And as you said, that really hurt them. Here, we don't really know how the red tires perform, how long they last.
There was not enough dry running to really get a really good feel for how the two compounds are comparing. We see Andrew Ranger now heading down the second straightaway into turn 5, a downhill braking zone here. Here's a little bit of curb on the entry. So Andrew Ranger running in the 8th place right now, just behind Bruno Junqueira, just in front of Mario Dominguez. Actually, no, I lied, because he just came out of the pits. That'll shuffle through. He'll be a bit further down the grid. But Sebastian Bourdais and AJ Allmendinger seem to be the front two right now.
Watching there on his outlap, that was Andrew Ranger. The car sliding around a bit. The audio was off a little bit there, but came back on sync there towards the end. And Andrew, being careful as his first lap out of the pits. It's no tyre warmers, of course, in the Champ Car World Series.
Cold tires, full fuel load. It is a hairy beast to do to deal with when you first out of the pits.
And cool weather as well.
That does not help. So a little bit longer for these tires to get up to temperature, and also with the long straights in between corners here, that allows tires to cool off in between. So when you're first coming out of the pits and you don't have a lot of running on the tires yet, they cool down even faster. We're just getting word that Bruno Junqueira is coming in for his first pit stop with the Newman Haas guys. Right here we're seeing red sidewall tires coming on, the black Bridgestones, reds coming off, blacks going on. Bruno Junqueira here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
There is Sebastian Bourdais back out in the lead, having made his first stop of the day. We just saw his teammate Bruno Junqueira come onto pit lane, and again, differing strategies. Bourdais is on a scuffed set of red tires. Bruno Junqueira went to the black tires, James.
Yeah, and now it's like we said, we're going to have to wait and see when everybody comes around and retakes the timing strike to see how everybody's outlaps are going to be. Sebastian should technically be faster with those red sidewall tires. A little bit softer compound should come in a bit quicker. So we'll see over the first 5-6 laps of a stint what the lap times are going to do and which drivers seem to have a good set and a good setup with the tires they have on right now.
So a long way to go in this race. 16 laps in the books, 35 laps to go to the 51-lap race. There you can see running behind Sebastian Bourdais is Will Power, but Will is still a lap down, and he has not yet made his first full service stop of the afternoon. He came in after that first lap incident, and he was hoping, I'm sure, to regain the lead lap when Bourdais and the other leaders came onto pit lane, because he was running effectively out of sequence on everybody else. But that is not the case, and he is still one lap down. and has a pit stop looming for that Team Australia car. There you can see it peeling off onto pit lane. So there is Will Power. He will make that pit stop. And again, it's looking like an awfully long day for young Will Power and his tenuous, or increasingly tenuous lead in the Roche Vance Rookie of the Year point standings.
Well, we'll see how that all plays out by the end of this race, because Dan Clark obviously running very well in fourth position. I think it's going to end up being third. AJ Allmendinger looks like maybe able to, yeah, he did in fact jump Dan Clark in the pit stop. So AJ Allmendinger now second to Sebastian Bourdais, some 13.4 seconds adrift still with this only, what, 17 laps into this race.
Wondering whether perhaps a few drivers might have short-filled, not taken off a full tank of fuel on that first pit stop. We see several people making jumps there. AJ Allmendinger jumped ahead of Darren Clark. Justin Wilson also made up several positions as well.
Well, it did seem like, we didn't see AJ stop, but it did in fact look to me as though Dan Clark got a very, very full fuel tank. He was waiting there with the fuel hose tank for quite a long time. As there's a car in the gravel. Aussie Vineyards car that it looks like number 5. Is that
Could
Will?
well be Will Power. He just made a
Fresh out of
pit
the
stop.
pits.
Yeah, fresh out of the pits. Maybe made a mistake. I think that's in turn 1 there. There's a huge gravel trap down there now. There used to be not much runoff there, area there at all. That was where AJ Foyt had a horrific crash many, many years ago. Badly broke both of his legs. Since then, they've moved an awful lot of dirt down there and got this massive gravel trap, but Will has run all of the way through it, and that is going to bring out the second full course caution of the afternoon. There is confirmation. It is in turn 1, presumably on cold tires, just got in a little bit too deep. He tries to make it around, but unfortunately does not, and that is, I'm fairly sure, going to be the end of Will Power's very, very disappointing afternoon. He's had such a great run this season. We talked about it coming into the race. He had a career best finish of 4th in Denver a couple of races ago. He's riding a streak of 6 top 10 finishes, 4 top 6 finishes, and now it's come to a sticky end.
I guess we kind of jinxed that at the top of the show, didn't we there, Jim? But yeah, first caution of the day, which is great that it's going to, well, not great for Sebastian, but great for the other 16 drivers on the track. It's going to bring his lead down to absolutely nothing.
There is AJ Allmendinger on the Cosworth power to pass, and Bourdais made such a great exit out of the first corner. He didn't apparently even need the power to pass.
Wasn't even near it, but the 2nd through 5th all on the power to pass. Justin Wilson popping out, and close. We see Zwolsman also popping out, but everybody seems to get through that. Looking back now from Justin Wilson to Dan Clark.
Great pass there by Justin Wilson. The 2 Englishmen side by side down into turn 3. Dan trying to get back down the inside again, down into turn 3, down that hill, and he was awfully close there, wasn't it? But not able to pull it off. Justin Wilson up into 3rd place.
And he will inevitably lose 3rd as well to Paul Tracy, trying on the outside. Both men on the power to pass. Tracy's on the better braking line, but Dan on the better racing line, and Dan was able to hold him off. Tracy trying to high-low him here, heading up the hill in the 6th, and it looks like he's going to do it. Hard to hold the outside there. Very well done, well-timed, well played by Paul Tracy.
Textbook racing, but there by those two, the veteran and the rookie, Paul Tracy and Dan Clark, opposing ends of their career. Paul Tracy's been around this business a long, long time, and Dan Clark has not. But it didn't look like it there, did he? Dan was giving all he got going down the hill into turn 5 and again up into turn 6 as well. But it is finally Paul Tracy that does make that pass.
That was very, very interesting, because the rule in Champ Cars, you are not allowed to block. You have to leave the inside lane open. And so Dan Clark, probably having tried that pass in corner 3 and not finished it against Justin Wilson, knowing that his run onto that straight was going to be compromised, he seemed to slow down a little bit more and forced Paul Tracy pretty much to have to go to the outside before the time where Dan would have normally had to move over to the left. But Paul saw what he was doing, let him take the inside, push him as deep as he could, and did a textbook high-low pass and repass. So that was Paul saying, all right, rookie, you want to play ball? Let's play ball. But you're not going to win that one against Paul Tracy.
In the meantime, Sebastian Bourdais has romped away. His lead over 2nd place, 3 seconds after just 1 lap of green flag racing. Quite amazing.
Well, I probably had a 2.5 seconds of that before they even hit the start-finish line. So good was his launch off the last corner. But like you say, absolutely phenomenal. 2.3 seconds faster than 2nd place driver AJ Allmendinger on that lap. Just incredible. Justin Wilson holding station in 3rd, running quite a bit slower than AJ on that lap, and PT just again quite a bit slower than Justin, having to tussle with Dan Clark. So but having made that move, Paul Tracy is now 20 laps into this race with 30 laps to go, all out of his 75 seconds worth of Cosworth power to pass. That is not going to bode well for Paul later in this race. He sometimes has a little bit of a habit of doing that. We think back to Denver when he used all his power to pass to get through the field and didn't have any left to defend against Sebastian on the final lap. And, well, we all know how that one turned out, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yeah, fisticuffs at the end of that day. Well, almost fisticuffs. It was fisticuffs the previous week with Paul Tracy and Alex Tagliani. And then in Denver, he had Bourdais squaring up to him as well.
And you touch back on that incident between Paul and Alex back in San Jose, where there's a little bit of boxing going on. Paul actually has a new helmet for this weekend, and Paul's traditional helmet design has very subtly in the blue part of the paint job little figurines of women all over the place, and Paul likes his women. And this weekend, his helmet, all the women have boxing gloves on them. A nice subtle little touch from Troy Lee Designs there, but a brilliant thing, very, very funny, and just totally in the humor of Paul Tracy. So brilliant thing from Paul there, and he's on it now, trying to chase down Justin Wilson, who's running in third position.
Yeah, behind AJ Allmendinger. Again, another stunning lap there from Sebastian Bourdais. 2 seconds quicker than AJ Allmendinger in second place. So Bourdais now has a 5.2 second margin over AJ. Justin Wilson there in third place. Paul Tracy in fourth. There is Paul Tracy trying to hold off Dan Clark at the battle for fourth and fifth. And AJ and Justin Wilson now, they're second and third, so they're where they need to be if they are going to take this championship beyond this race, and it will have to at least go to Surface Paradise before it is decided if they maintain these positions through the checkered flag.
Yeah, right now it's a lot of ifs and woulds and coulds, but I mean, essentially, especially with Sebastian out leading this race, he's in a really comfortable position right now. So neither one of these guys, I should say, are thinking championship. They're thinking race wins. They're thinking podiums. They just want to have great results the last few races because the championship is essentially out of reach for those guys. So, but a really good battle for the top, well, I guess you'd say second through fifth. Those guys are all running pretty close, but Sebastian Bourdais just absolutely running away. I mean, this kind of answers the question, which were going to be better, the red or the black side? Well, Sebastian didn't seem to care, and AJ actually got on the radio to his crew saying the change in tires did not affect the balance of the car, so he's still having that push, that understeer that he was having in the first stint. So to be not too happy with your car and still running second, not bad, but you're 2 seconds a lap off the guy in front of you.
But only a few laps into this stint, relatively speaking, with that caution period after they went out, so after changing the tires, and as you can see, AJ Allmendinger on the black sidewall tyres and Paul Tracy, but Sebastian Bourdais on the reds. But how are they going to be another 6 or 7 or 8 laps into this stint? That's going to be the crucial thing. But certainly no doubt right now, Bourdais is pulling away at ease. That time of 1 minute 45.2 for the race leader. And Paul Tracy, they're in fourth place at 1 minute 46.8. And ahead of him, AJ Allmendinger at 1:46.1 and Justin Wilson 1:46.7. Everybody else in the 47s. And the domination that Sebastian Bourdais is showing is absolutely amazing. I can't believe he is that much better than everybody else. There's no doubt he is with the best team Newman House Racing for the guy.
And the reason he's in now is because he's on an alternate strategy.
Good job, my friend.
Bit of front wing. Oh, he's creeping. For a moment, Nelson Philippe started to creep, but thankfully got on the brakes. Everything okay down here.
Stay to the right.
So Nelson Philippe running a slightly different strategy to everybody else. He makes his second pit stop of the day after 23 laps. So it's a bit earlier than everybody else. He is going to have to make certainly at least one more pit stop to the end of this race. I'm not sure what even that was going to be enough. It's going to be close actually, but he's presumably the team has sorted out. He should be able to make it to the finish now with just one more pit stop. So that is Nelson Philippe on a totally different strategy to everybody else. And if there is now a full course caution, that could play out in his favour. Lots to unfold yet here at Road America.
Don't miss any of the exceptional grassroots competition when round 5 of the Dunlop Great and British Motorsport Series heads to the Croft Circuit for another action-packed meeting Monday, October the 2nd from 7 p.m. right here on Motors TV. Be sure to be with Motors TV this coming Saturday, September the 30th, beginning at 4:30 for live flag-to-flag coverage of the Petit Le Mans from the Road Atlantic Circuit in Georgia. And there'll be plenty to race for too, with the winner of each of the 4 divisions from round 9 of the championship receiving an automatic invitation to the 2007 24 Hours of Le Mans. On Sunday, October the 1st at 11 p.m, we'll head to the land of the rising sun for another dose of excitement that only the Japan-based Super GT series can provide. The Motegi circuit will be the venue for another round of close-quarter action, and you can see it only here on Motors TV.
Well, he's comfortable with the car. That's good to know. Hopefully Sebastian is too as they come around. Everybody on their Cosworth power to pass. Tracy is going to be a sitting duck with no power to pass left. The green flag waves and Bruno leads him to the stripe.
And he made a great restart too, and there is Nelson Philippe in second place. He's been nowhere all weekend, but strategy gets him to second place. Justin Wilson in third, then AJ Allmendinger, then Sebastian Bourdais, and then Paul Tracy, and then comes Oriol Servia just holding up. Whoa, there's contact at the back.
It looked like Andrew Ranger and Catherine Legg may be getting together. Once again, no luck for Andrew Ranger, as we were just touching on, Jeremy.
Whoa.
He finds himself in the gravel trap in the first corner now, beached.
And apparently coming together with Catherine Legg again. He won't like that. Those two came together, of course, in San Jose a month or so ago, and Andrew was very, very upset.
We'll have to
Listen to
come
radio.
in. We'll put a wing on.
Full course yellow once again. The pits are closed, and the black flag we believe is going to be shown. Here's again, as Andrew Ranger got underneath Catherine Legg, and it looked like Andrew was in the, he was the aggressor there, was he not, James Hinchcliffe?
Yeah, it looks like he was trying to make the pass. So it's here we go. Both cars on the power to pass. As you can see, Catherine's Legg. He was not alongside her. He tries. He's close. He gets a wheel in. That's tough. That's a tough call, Jim. You can see his ring getting absolutely ripped off there as he comes into the gravel trap there.
I don't think Catherine did anything wrong, did she? I mean,
No.
where's she going to go? She's on the outside line, yes. She didn't seem to cut across him, did she? I don't think. We'll maybe have another look at that and get another glance at it. But
he seemed to turn in a little bit early and got his own inside wheel on the grass, and that kind of lost him a bit of front grip. And he was certainly, as you say, he was certainly the aggressor in that instance. But
and it's a very far. They're coming up. They're doing 190 miles an hour into that corner. If you're going to make a pass there, you've got to be absolutely clean alongside at the turning point, and he wasn't.
The biggest thing about corner 1 is it's one of the faster corners on the track. It's not like 5, it's not like 12 where it's big braking into it. So you really do have to be alongside. You can't gain that ground under braking. So yeah, I guess you could really put the fault at Andrew Ranger for that one. But still, very unfortunate. Catherine still seems to be fine. It was wheel to side pod contact.
And I can
down
tell
to
you
Jan
why.
Beekes.
It's because he was supposed to let Oriol Servia go by, and they've been calling him on the radio from multiple locations around the racetrack. He just can't hear. So they were going to black flag him because he wasn't heeding the stewards. But they have now got the message to him. He's going to let him by. That's why they canceled the black flag.
So as we said, there was going to be a black flag for Dan Clark. The crew tried to call him. He didn't heed those calls. So there was going to be a black flag for not allowing Servia to go past. Now, in Dan's defense, I have to say, he said on Friday after qualifying that he didn't have any radio communication. And on this racetrack, radio communication isn't as easy as most other tracks. So,
and if it wasn't for that interview saying he had that problem on Friday, I don't know if I'd have bought it. That's one of those driver tricks. Oh yeah, you want me to let him by? No, I can't hear you. I'm sorry, it's kind of fuzzy. I'm not sure what's happening there. But I think Dan had some legitimate issues with his radio earlier this weekend. And with the sheer distance and area that this track covers being so big, and the elevation as well, is very difficult for radio transmissions to make it at certain points of the racetrack. So regardless, it has all been sorted out as we see them pushing Andrew Ranger back. Look at the gravel just pouring out of that car right on the racing line. I sure hope they get a blower and a sweeper and everything else there to make sure that that's gone when they come around for the green, because that stuff is not pleasant to drive through.
I think he lost a lap there, didn't he, Andrew Ranger? Yeah.
He seemed to, maybe, I think he just got out in front, unless they'd already gone around once. I'm not sure.
I'm not so sure either. We'll have to wait and see. And was Will Power just onto the pit lane? I don't know whether Will came in. I think Will got his lap back, and I think he just came onto pit lane, but I'm not quite sure about that. The pit sign is open right now. There is Bruno Junqueira, and again, a remarkable record here at Road America. Just loves this racetrack. He's had 2 poles, 2 wins, and 3 fastest laps in 4 starts here at Road America. Led every time he's been in a race here, and he keeps that streak alive this afternoon, and he's looking to win again this afternoon and looking to extend his streak of winning in every year in the Champ Cars. The streak currently for Bruno Junqueira stands at 5 years consecutively with a win since his debut in 2001. And he's looking now to stretch that sequence to 6 consecutive years with a win. And only Bobby Rahal has done better than that. Bobby Rahal won for 8 consecutive years early in his career. So Bruno, despite the fact he only did 2 races last year before that season-ending injury, the crash at Indianapolis, he did get 1 win, of course, at Monterey last year, and he hasn't won since then. So he's desperate for a win, and he's been quick this weekend. He's not been really fast through much of the season. Been a bit disappointing year certainly for him thus far. He's prior to this weekend, he'd only been quickest in a couple of sessions all the way through the season. There's some of his front wing, I presume Andrew Ranger's, not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see who is missing a bit when they come around next time. But Bruno was quickest in the warm-up this morning and has been quick all weekend and looking to get another victory under his belt this afternoon. And what a no better place to do it than right here. We go green this time by as Andrew Ranger pulls onto pit lane. There is Andrew. And there's damage to the front and rear of his car, we believe. The Myjack Conquest Racing team got quite a bit of work to do. They'll change the nose and the wheels and everything else. And what's Andrew waving at?
I don't know what he's waving at. They can't go any faster than they're going. Trust me, those guys are working flat out. Changing a nose is not as easy. Oh, calm down, calm down.
He wants to go before losing another lap, but no, maybe he didn't lose a lap, I think. No, he didn't lose a lap.
I think he just got out right before the pace car came around the first corner, so it should be all good. New nose on. There was potential rear damage with that car as well, but they seem to have cleared everything. He's got no problems letting it up coming out of pit lane, so he's very anxious to get back on it and will very safely stay on the lead lap.
So he's going around turn 1 of the rest of the field here is coming down towards Canada corner, yeah.
It's not quite up.
So they're coming down towards Canada corner, so he's a good half a lap behind. He's about 2.5 miles probably behind the field, but the team was right there in getting that service done and completed and sending him out with a complete race car rather than half a race car. Here's a look as he turns into Canada corner there. So there goes that left front end plate and part of the wing as well. So he was lucky there. That didn't cause any more damage to the car.
Yeah, that could have been bad. That could have hit him in the head. That wouldn't have really felt nice either. But all good as we come around and the green flag is out. Bruno Junqueira leading the way over Nelson Philippe. Oh, how the CTE drivers' fates have changed. Dan Clark started on pole, now running 8th. Nelson Philippe started 16th, now finds himself in 2nd with Justin Wilson 3rd, AJ Allmendinger 4th, and Sebastian Bourdais rounding out the top 5 right now as we're on board with Justin Wilson heading through the 3rd corner, getting on the power, trying to get a run as best he can on Nelson Philippe right now is in front of him, and he's getting close. He's got a bit of a draft.
Let me just clarify, I said that Will Power gained a lap back. He did, but of course he lost 2 laps in the early stages with his 2 separate incidents. So Will Power's now shut 1 lap down. There, down to the inside comes Oriol.
Paul Tracy being passed by Oriol Serbia
exactly.
there. It's like I said before, with Paul Tracy out of his power to pass, he was going to be an absolute sitting duck on that restart, and that is what happened. He got passed by Serbia. Big lockup from him. And hopefully that's not going to cause too big a vibration. We remember back to the whole Portland incident, that whole scandal with Justin Wilson locking up his front tire. So hopefully that won't be an issue for PT. But Bruno Junqueira has pulled out a very nice lead so far, comfortably ahead of Nelson Philippe in 2nd, Justin Wilson again in 3rd, and now Oriol Serbia up to 6th place, taking over PT's spot there.
This is going to be very, very interesting indeed now, and as we watch Bruno Junqueira come down into Canada corner, turn 12, there's a bit of a gap there, as you say, over Nelson Philippe and Justin Wilson, AJ Allmendinger, Sebastian Bourdais, and then Oriol Serbia and Paul Tracy, and spongy brakes, the complaint for one of the drivers.
Serbia.
For Oriol Serbia, but there is the hole in the wall camps car of Bruno Junqueira. Nice clean exit to turn 14, and he will lead another lap here at Road America.
PT is out. There must have been a problem with that lockup, or I don't know, maybe that was just coincidence, but we definitely saw him lock up there. This will definitely bring on a full course caution. That looks to be at the top of turn 6 again, maybe.
That's Canada corner, I think.
Oh, is it Canada? Did he make it that far? We'll
yeah, it's Canada corner, turn 12, we believe that is, and he's out of his power to pass, as also his teammate AJ Allmendinger, but The worst news for PT is he's in the gravel trap, and here he is. This is Canada corner.
You're right.
Yeah, he got in, don't know whether he got in a little bit deep, whether he got any help from Dan Clark, who knows, but he's off in the gravel trap, and it's tough. It's pretty deep gravel down there. He's going to need a tow out, and he's going to have to hope that the safety team can get there in time, that he doesn't lose a lap.
Oh, the cruel irony of Canadian Paul Tracy Beach in Canada corner. I've done it myself in Formula BMW 2 years ago. It is not a nice feeling, and there's no doubt someone else is going to be making jokes about it. I've had it to me, so now I can dish it out to Paul. Really, really unfortunate. Again, worst corner on the track for him to do it.
Yes, it is. And there's again, he's rim riding there around the outside going in. Whether he carried in too much speed, we can't say because we didn't see it. But it doesn't really matter. The end result is that he's in the gravel trap and the other guys aren't.
Yeah, by the time we cue in there, it's already gone all wrong. So we'll have to see now. The crane pulling him out.
So bad news for one Canadian, good news for another, because the French-Canadian Andrew Ranger just sped past our commentary booth here. He is on the lead lap, and now we'll be able to pull around, catch up with the tail end of the field, and be ready to go for the restart. So 32 laps in the books. They come around the carousel turn there down at the far end of the racetrack, and look at the trees, the colours beginning to change. It really is a beautiful place, Road America, a classic venue, and a good crowd on hand with super track and weather conditions this afternoon. A really interesting race unfolding.
So we're under, is this our third, I believe, caution of the day so far on lap 32? With 19 laps to go, your leader, of course, still being Bruno Junqueira. Everybody is still expected to pit one more time, and then we get to see Paul Tracy getting back on track.
Yeah, and a bunch of woes that have befell Paul Tracy this season. There is the good news: the safety team is on hand, and they're going to get him underway again. But let's have a look at some of it was just ahead of the pace car. Let's have a look at some of the disasters that have befallen PT this season. It really has not been the year he had hoped. The 2003 Champ Car champion, he came into the season with super high hopes and a new teammate in Mario Dominguez. But it all went wrong right from the first race, where he tangled with his teammate Mario Dominguez at turn 1 in Long Beach, and it's just not gone well. But here we are, he's back with the race leader, Bruno Junqueira, and there goes PT. So he's back in the fray. Of course, he didn't come onto pit lane, because he has to run around now and try and catch up with the field as the rest of them come around turn 14 to begin another lap, with about 19 laps to go here at the Grand Prix of Road America. So still under caution here at the Grand Prix of Road America. Bruno Junqueira leads the field. 1 lap to go is the signal from J.D. Wilbur, the official starter. And again, now we will have a look at the problems that have befallen Paul Tracy this season. Right from the very first race in Long Beach down to turn 1. Boom, he gets hit from behind by his teammate Mario Dominguez into the wall, out of the race, along with several other cars as well. Then in Milwaukee, same deal basically. Bruno Junqueira, heavy contact with the wall, and Mario Dominguez again in PT, just very light contact that ended up with Dominguez losing his ride, and another crash for Paul Tracy. Then we went to Cleveland, and he vaults over the top of Sebastian Bourdais. A very scary incident that was from Bourdais' perspective. And then, yes, San Jose, look at this. Ouch, I cringe every time I see it. He rejoins there, trying to get across the path of Alex Tagliani, takes Tag out of the race. 1 week later in Denver, boom again, the very last corner. He and his best buddy Sebastian Bourdais get together there. And that is a look at Paul Tracy's season thus far. Not been the way he wanted it to go in the Forsyth Championship Racing team. So Bruno Junqueira, he's led only 25 laps in the season coming into this weekend. 11 laps in Cleveland, 14 laps in Denver. Newman Haas Racing, however, led a series high 495 laps coming into this weekend, 46%. This afternoon, both Junqueira and Bourdais have led laps. There is Bruno on the Cosworth power to pass as he takes the restart, and right behind him there in second place, Nelson Phillips, not using his power to pass. So Bruno, he had 37 seconds worth left as he took the green flag. There'll be a little bit less now. There is AJ Allmendinger trying to pull out to pass Justin Wilson, clearly not close enough. So he rejoins Mario Dominguez, who's pulled onto pit lane, as has Juan Caceres for some reason. So 2 cars onto pit lane at the back of the field. In the meantime, up at the front, there is Sebastian Bourdais tracking along behind AJ Allmendinger, anxious to move up from his current 5th place, James.
He's getting close. He might be tempted to use the power to pass. Maybe not this lap, but AJ is closing down on Justin. The top 5 were pretty much all relatively well spread out at the start of that restart. No one was close enough to make any moves into the first few corners. So Bruno being the only guy who got on his power to pass, now down to 23 seconds. Nelson Philippe with 16 seconds left in second place. Justin Wilson only 3, and AJ Allmendinger no time left at all with the power to pass.
So you might think that Justin's only just a little bit better off than AJ. AJ's used all of his. Justin's got 3 seconds left. However, when you press the Cosworth Power to Bus button on the steering wheel, it remains in effect until you lift off the throttle again. So even though he shows there's only 3 seconds left, he will in fact have 1 full straightaway's worth once he gets onto that Cosworth Power to Pass. So 3 seconds effectively is about 16 seconds worth for Justin Wilson. So that certainly could benefit him in the latter stages of this race. But Bruno still has 2 full power, full uses of it to use in the final 17 laps of this race.
As we see Dan Clark getting racy there with Oriol Surveyor heading into Canada corner, not quite close enough to pull it off, but look at Sebastian Bourdais hounding down AJ Allmendinger, who we've already touched on has no power to pass left. Sebastian with 21 seconds left. He's getting awfully close, and you could just see as we watched last lap by through the carousel how superior that Newman Haas car was. And here we go. AJ's looking at it. Justin just far enough ahead. We saw what happened with Andrew Ranger and Catherine Legg when you tried to pass into one and you weren't quite there.
AJ had a good run down the front straight there, coming up the hill, and of course the start-finish line, but not quite enough, and discretion there, the better part of valor. AJ lifts out of it, and Justin Wilson still hangs on to 3rd place. So it's Bruno out in front again, a great restart. These Newman House cars, look at the lead he's pulled out already over Nelson Philippe, who's certainly stepped it up considerably over the last half dozen racing laps or so, running in 2nd place and taking full advantage of that track position, running a slightly different strategy than these other guys, but he's still effectively, as everybody else, he's only got 1 more pit stop to make.
Yeah, and these first 2 cars, although they're on slightly older tires, are also running on lighter fuel loads, having stopped earlier. So with these, the remarkable compound that Bridgestone brings to these races, these tires do stay incredibly consistent. As you see how much Sebastian can catch AJ through this carousel corner here. Just back to the tires, because they're so consistent and such a good construction by Bridgestone, they stay good enough near the end of a stint to run fast. So essentially, you're faster at the end of a stint because of your lighter fuel load. So Bruno and Nelson should be really a little bit faster than these guys behind them, despite having slightly older tires. And Bruno proving that by pulling away quite nicely.
And interesting news, I think, to transfer to Formula 1. Bridgestone is going to be the sole supplier in Formula 1 next season, and we believe that we're hearing tales that Bridgestone will bring the same technology that they use in the Champ Car World Series. Technology is the wrong word, but the same strategy, and bringing a prime tyre and a secondary tyre for the Formula 1 teams to use next season. And I'll tell you, it works fabulously well, as we have seen in the Champ Car World Series now for several years. It works fabulously well. It's great for the spectators, and particularly like here, you can see which different compound the teams are on. Clearly, there it is. The red sidewall tyres on the Forsyth Championship Racing team, and the black sidewalls on the Newman House Racing car of Sebastian Bourdais.
Yeah, it's been nothing but successful, that whole program, and it's as we look now, maybe
Bourdais is on the power to pass, coming down the hill, but not close enough to AJ to make that pass.
I feel like AJ Allmendinger must have a really trimmed out race car. That explains why he is so still fast in a straight line compared to Sebastian, and also explains why Sebastian's able to catch him through that carousel corner, which is a long duration, high speed corner, which is really emphasizes the aerodynamic levels on that car. So definitely thinking Sebastian's running a tiny bit more wing in that car. But like we were saying about the tires, it's a fantastic program in Champ Car. I think it'll do wonders in Formula 1, and it just proves what a top world-class series this is when a series like Formula 1 is looking to things that Champ Car is doing. I think that's fantastic.
I think it is fantastic. Well, and in many ways, I wouldn't like to see Sebastian Bourdais go to Formula 1. I still think they're missing a big opportunity, because this boy is talented, and I think he does deserve a chance in Formula 1. However, we're glad to see him here, and he's been just a masterful performer over the last 4 years. If it stays as it is right now, he will not clinch a 3rd consecutive championship this afternoon, but still got 2 races more in the season to do so in Surfers Paradise in a few weeks' time, and then the finale in Mexico City. But looking again at there's a new fastest best lap there for Bruno Junqueira. He's getting on with the case now, 1:45.1, his best lap of the day, and the second best lap overall this afternoon for Bruno Junqueira, our race leader. And there is a battle between AJ and Justin Wilson with Sebastian Bourdais right there as well.
Very impressive. AJ must be getting just a phenomenal run off those corners, because we know he's got 0 power to pass left, so we know he didn't use it. That was just sheer speed and sheer horsepower, and just a great run off that last corner off the hill as we were right on board with Justin. There's a replay, pulls out, gets plenty alongside. I mean, he really
takes advantage of the draft there, the slipstream, and that's all it takes, and he's clearly ahead going into the braking zone. So a great pass again by AJ Allman, and get himself up into third place here on board with Justin Wilson.
So come across the start finish line, you can see how the car gets sucked up by the draft there, the dirty air that Justin is producing from his car. AJ well ahead. Justin trying to tuck in a little bit low, get some air on his front wing so he doesn't go sliding off the track. And now AJ able to pull out a little bit from him and start to track down Nelson Philippe. See, Justin now is the target of Sebastian Bourdais. Sebastian getting very close in this carousel. Like I said, he seems to have a lot of downforce in the car, and if he's getting pretty close now, he might be able to use the draft just like AJ did heading into Canada corner here, corner 12. He's pretty close. He's not reaching for his power to pass button, but he is close enough to look, but not quite close enough to pull it off. Justin, a very good breaker. You're not going to get by him too easily. You're going to have a pretty good run, so Sebastian's definitely going to have to work for this one.
But look how AJ has pulled away from Justin just in that half a lap. That's amazing, because Justin seems to have a pretty good car this afternoon. There you can see Bourdais on the black side of all tires. Justin's on the reds. I can't remember now. I think he's on the reds, isn't he? I'm not quite sure. But there again, a new best lap for Bruno Junqueira. Just the second driver this afternoon to get into the 1 minute 44. 1:44.988 for our race leader Bruno Junqueira. And it's great to see Bruno running out front. It's a real boost of confidence for this young man, and boy does he need it. On board here with Justin Wilson coming down the hill into turn 3. There behind him is Sebastian Bourdais. Puff of smoke there. Look how he's got some
Could have been dirt, maybe. It's sometimes on the exit
the pit window now to get to the end of the race is open. On the pit lane now is Paul Tracy. Also in last time around was Andrew Ranger. So if again, as we know, if there's a full course caution, the pits will be closed. Already though, Paul Tracy and Andrew Ranger have been onto pit lane. Great strategy by those two teams.
Yeah, that's absolutely a perfect call from these guys. They waited till the first lap of the window to get to the end of the race, and they filled up with fuel now. They are good to the end. Those cars, Andrew Ranger and Paul Tracy, the two Canadians, are good to the end of this race.
And Charles Waltzman, I believe, as well, also has been on to pit lane in car number 34. Though both MyJack Conquest Racing entries have made their final pit stops of the day, and most of the other guys have not. Here is this great battle coming through that kink, and you can see that extra bit of asphalt there in front of the camera is a new extension they put in there for the motorcycles that they didn't like the kink at all. It's a scary place in a race car, and a motorcycle absolutely terrifying. So they put in a tight left and then a right there to slow the cars down through the bikes, I should say, down through that kink. That is what the extra asphalt is down there at the infamous Road America kink. It's not a kink, it's a corner, isn't it, James?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, depending on the car. I know in our cars it's certainly flat out, but it is hairy, and there is no room for error. Not a particularly wide piece of racetrack, and very fast walls on either side. So it's one of the cool corners as we see Nelson Philippe in the pits.
And Jan Beek is in the CTE Racing pit, ready for Nelson Philippe.
And he's going to take advantage of this opening of the final pit window.
Brakes on, reset your fuel, you're doing a super
That's
job.
Vince Kramer again. They're always trying to pump you up during the pit stop. Nice quick stop for Nelson Philippe. That's it, getting them pumped up. Go, go! Obviously got lots of wheel spin, heat in the tires, then the team trying to get them pumped up to close that gap.
So good stop there by Nelson Philippe. He's on out on the red side all tires for the final stint of this race. Ooh, that was a wheel nut fell off.
That was a wheel nut.
Oh no, what a disaster for Nelson Philippe. The left rear wheel nut came off as he came down the hill. There was no way he's going to be able to make it around 3.5 miles without that wheel falling off, James.
The team should tell him to stop. That is incredibly dangerous. That wheel could come off. It could bounce in a stand theoretically.
Set up, please.
Don't. Oh, Nelson, be careful. That is absolutely heartbreaking. Such a small mistake from the team has such devastating consequences on Nelson Philippe's afternoon. He was having such a good run. He started 16th, obviously suffered in that qualifying session on Friday when the fast times were set. Look at him struggle the tread. And there we go. The tire is off. It'll be rolling down the track. Nelson needs to get it off the track. He cannot make it all the way back to the pits on just 3 tires. I lie. He's going to give it a try. He is not pulling off at all as he heads up to turn 6. He will be doing the under tray and potentially the left rear suspension. A ton of damage. No good at all as he comes around. The car is staying relatively balanced as we see Justin Wilson has dived into the pits, as has Oil Service. We see a replay now.
And Dan Clark as well. There is another view of that left rear wheel vacating the premises on the Carnival. Jon Beekes.
And Derek, the leader, is on pit road. Dan Clark is on his way in, but Bruno Junqueira got his service, has the black sidewall. There's a quick stop. He got all the fuel he wants, and there goes Justin Wilson. There goes Serbia. Looks like we maintained the spot, and there has not been a pit stop for Bourdais. He stayed out.
That's a risky move by Bourdais, not come in. If, for any reason, Nelson Philippe's car comes to a rest on the racetrack and they're able to, not able to get it out of the way, that would bring out a full course caution. And the pits would be closed. So a very strange call there by Newman House Racing not to play on the safe side and bring this man, Sebastian Bourdais, into the pits to make his final stop of the afternoon. Very strange strategy, I would say. But now they're going to put it right now, but they're going to hope that the caution doesn't come out in the next 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, it looks like they managed to, the officials or the marshals managed to get a hold of Nelson's errant left rear tire there. And you can see there's a local yellow for Nelson as he's coming down the right-hand side of your screen there.
Scary. Can you imagine coming around there with a car limping around?
Well, imagine coming around the kink, being a blind corner and seeing a car limping around.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's not good at all as he's riding there on 2 wheels, essentially. And just scraping his diffuser on the left side has essentially gone. The brake disc is actually wearing down on the track now. You can see how high it is. There's no way that race car is getting back on the track. The damage will just be too severe. Just devastating, like you said.
Great shame. He's done a fabulous job again as young Nelson Philippe. He's been the revelation this season. He was the Bosch most improved driver as voted by his peers 1 year ago. And I fancy he's going to be favourite to get that award again. Here though is the picks up the final one of the day for AJ Allmendinger and car number 7. Service is completed. Black sidewall tires then for AJ Allmendinger. He is out and underway. Bourdais already has made his stop. And I believe that perhaps made his stop. I'm not sure who is in the lead of the race. Actually, Catherine Legg might have gone past them all as her crew is ready for the car number 20, the Warriors in pink car on pit lanes. There goes Sebastian Bourdais around turn 6. All 4 wheels attached, happily.
Ugh, I still can't get over that. That's just one of the most heartbreaking things for a driver. He'd done such a good job. The crew did an amazing job on calling that strategy for them to pit early before that yellow came out. And now it's all gone down as Nelson is now in pit lane. We see Sebastian. He's coming out, currently the leader. It's they managed to keep the yellow flag in, so we should that will not affect it now. There's 10 laps to go in this race if they're all green. There's the one man in particular who's sitting pretty right now.
And Bourdais, of course, he's well out in front there. So very quick effort there. There is Nelson Philippe's car coming on pit lane, and they're going to send him out again. And boy, I hope there's no damage. I hope they had a good close look at that left rear corner before they send him out again, Jen.
That brake disc was rubbing on the ground. The rear diffuser on the left side had been ground down to practically nothing. So with 10 laps to go, he'd already fallen a lap down. That's kind of a surprising call. I really hope he takes it tiptoes around the track, at least for a little bit, till he gets a feel on what that car's doing. But right now, it's this man, Sebastian Bourdais, through the first corner.
Who hasn't stopped yet, of course. I'm wondering how the heck he's still got such a huge lead, but he has not stopped yet. So he's taken a big gamble here by staying out because, as I said, if there is a full course caution, all this could come to naught because he wouldn't be able to come onto pit lane until they open the pits, and that won't be until everybody else has packed up behind the race leader. So very interesting to me. Catherine Legg then now in second place. She also has not stopped, nor has Jan Halen in third place. And we hear from the Newman House Racing pit that Sebastian will stay out for another couple of laps before he comes on. Of course, it's a gamble here because he's super quick. He's turning very, very fast lap times. Last time around, a 1:44.256, so miles quicker than anybody else. So, if he carries on like this, he's going to make up enough ground to come out, make that pit stop and resume the lead. But it is a gamble.
It absolutely is a gamble, but at this point, it really had nothing to lose, because if they had pitted, they would have come right back out in traffic, maybe been able to leapfrog one guy in the pits. But as it is now, they're taking a bold strategy, but that's why Newman Haas win races consistently. Sebastian leads here at Road America.
So here we are at Road America with 9 laps to go here at Road America. Special welcome to our viewers joining from Eurosport, the Fox Sports International Network, Speed Latin America, RDS in Canada, and Network 10 in Australia. And we're going to be going to Australia for the next race in the series in Surfers Paradise in a few weeks' time. That's always a favourite for absolutely everybody on the schedule, including this man, Sebastian Bourdais, who leads this motor race, and he's got a healthy lead of about 9 seconds over Catherine Legg last time. I think that's going to be extended this time around. Catherine's turning almost her best lap of the race so far. She's going to be on the pit lane. Here she comes now in front of us. The Bell Micro car, the Warriors in pink car, comes to rest right in front of our commentary booth across the other side of the racetrack. Cameron Steele.
Going on the side of the car, Mark Johnson, the team manager for PKB Racing, was extremely excited, to say the very least, that a yellow did not come out when Nelson Philippe's tire came off. They really believed that that was going to be an advantage to them. Very upset right now.
So super quick stop there for PKB Racing, and also Jan Halen, I believe, that also was on to the pit lane as well, coming up behind Catherine Legg, and she's going to try and get out, I think ahead actually of her teammate Oriel Sturgeon. I'm not quite sure. I think Oriel's going to get, yeah, here they are, 2 PKB cars coming down the hill, and on hot tyres, Oriel may be able to make the position, but these cars, as I talked about earlier in the schedule, on very different aerodynamic setups. Oriel has a lot less rear wing on that car, so much better straight line speed than Catherine. Catherine done a very respectable job this afternoon. It looks like if it pans out this way, she should be able to end up with another top 10 finish. That would be a very good result. Look at that wheel mark on the side of her car.
Considering the incident she's had already this race, a top 10 coming home in 8th would be absolutely fantastic for her.
So another very quick lap there for Sebastian Bourdais, 144.8. And the critical thing here is AJ Allmendinger and Bruno Junqueira. After that round of pit stops, Allmendinger got out to the pit ahead of Junqueira. Allmendinger to the 146.1. Down to Jon Beekers again for our race leader.
AMA Superbike Championship will be back in action this coming Monday, October the 2nd, when the series heads to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the 19th round of the season. And you can see it all beginning at 9 p.m. right here on Motors TV.
Stock car driver Kevin Harvick is the busiest man in motorsports, and he'll be at the Kansas Oval to defend his overwhelming points lead in the NASCAR Busch Series, as well as continue his bid to pick up the Nextel Cup in the Big Series. Be sure to tune to Motors TV for the best moments from round 30 of the season, Monday, October 2nd, beginning at 11 in the evening.
Most important thing, I didn't think that 31 seconds was quite enough. You lose 25 seconds.
Straight in and straight out, right on the mark, Sebastian. Look for
25 seconds in the pits plus your stop. That means he needs to have a 6-second stop or less unless he had a fast in lap. Here we go. Four, 5, 6, 7. Just over 7 seconds. It's going to be close. The team is cheering, but let's look on the course.
AJ now, Bruno at speed.
Look at that.
Bruno at speed.
Another Newman Haas strategic gamble that has in fact paid off. He has gone out in the lead ahead of AJ Allmendinger and Bruno Junqueira there. And again, just that's why those guys, you know, are who they are and do what they do.
Great
But here we go.
Yeah, because on the hot tires is AJ, and he gets the draft down the back straight and down into turn 5. They are wheel to wheel, and AJ Allmendinger retakes the lead. Great stuff here at Road America.
Absolutely brilliant. I thought Sebastian had enough of a gap when he left that pit lane to maybe hold off AJ, but clearly with the cold tires was not able to get a good enough run down out of corner 3, down that second straightaway there, and AJ is able to blow by. That is fantastic. And now Bruno Junqueira looking racy, looking down the inside of corner 8, and he also gets that pass done. So it has not quite gone to plan for the Newman Haas boys.
Has it indeed? There is AJ. He saw the glimpse of the lead and he went for it, and so did Bruno Junqueira. And that's great to see for Bruno. I mean, Sebastian, he's the class of the field, no doubt about it right now. But for me, it's super to see Bruno Junqueira. He really is a nice guy, and he had such a heartbreaking accident last year. Very critically injured. He really broke his back badly. He was out for the whole season. This year, he really hasn't had the confidence that he's shown in the past. This afternoon, though, he's driven a super race.
You see a replay here as AJ just textbook, got the draft, pulled alongside. With cold tires and full fuel, there's no way Sebastian would have been able to push anywhere near as hard on the brakes. And he just slips by Craig Hampson there in the Newman Haas pit. Obviously not too pleased about that.
And it's interesting to me that, of course, Sebastian has now used, well, almost all of his Cosworth powder
6 laps
pass.
to go. Don't give up. He has 0 push to pass.
There you go. Don't give up, says Craig Hampson on the radio to our erstwhile race leader Sebastian Bourdais. Don't give up, and it's you know, there's still a long way to go. And it's interesting to me that Sebastian Bourdais used a lot of his Cosworth power to pass in that last stint of the race when he was down in around 5th or 6th positions, and he's now used up all except one push worth. He's got 8 seconds left of his Cosworth power to pass, and that's, as I say, just one use of it to use in his final 6 laps of this race. And if he'd maintained that Cosworth power to pass, it would give him more cards up his sleeve, if you like, in the closing stages of this race. But certainly there's a lot to play for, and this race is not over by any means. AJ Allmendinger is in the lead of the road race, and closing, you know, just a couple of seconds behind him is Bruno Junqueira.
Yeah, Bruno Junqueira is doing a great job right now. Like Jeremy was saying, it's good to see him up there. He's 2.2 seconds behind AJ right now. 23 seconds left on his power to pass. Sebastian only has 8. AJ, of course, as we've already touched on, is out. So it's going to come down to if Bruno can use his push to pass strategically, try and track down AJ, and maybe take a win here at Road America. Lap 45, we've got 6 laps to go, 5 as soon as they cross the flag next time. It's going to be close as we look at the battle with Catherine Legg, Oil Service.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God, massive accident! Oh my God, that is the motor, a car, the tub landed upside down.
That is the king.
I don't know who that is.
Full course yellow picture.
We don't know who that is right now, but that is the fastest part of the track. Down at the exit of the kink there, turn 11. That is a very, very scary place indeed. And that is, of course, going to bring out a full course caution. And we've all got our fingers crossed here. That is a very, very scary place to go off the road. AJ Allmendinger still leads.
Catherine, you got a copy?
Catherine, if you've got a copy. So it is Catherine Legg, who has had that crash down there at turn 11. And there's obviously clearly some concern from the crew and everybody. Look at the debris that's been strewn across the racetrack. That is absolutely flat out in this car. She's been, she made her last pit stop on lap 43, so a couple of laps to go, and it takes certainly a couple of laps to get full temperature into these tires, get the tires up to the optimum working temperatures. And that is a very, very scary incident. She was running inside the top 10, was Catherine well inside the top 10, and Dyson with some cars there. We don't know what happened, but we will keep our eyes on that one. In the meantime, we are under caution with just 5 laps to go now, and AJ Allmendinger still leads the motor race. Bruno Junqueira in 2nd place, Sebastian Bourdais 3rd, Justin Wilson 4th, and Oriol Serbia in 5th place. And Dan Clark now will move up to 6th. I believe that Clark and Legg were dicing for that 6th place. Tagliani 7th, and Zwartzman, Jan Helen, and Andrew Ranger in 10th place.
Absolutely frightening wreck, like you say, Jem. That is one of the fastest, that is the fastest corner on the circuit, if you will. The kink there down the back straight on the way up to Canada Corner. Impossible for us to know exactly at this point what happened. And, you know, I think we only have 4 laps left to go next time by. It's going to be close to see whether or not we get back to green, because this is going to be, I think, a while to clean up this wreck.
So we're look at Sebastian Bourdais. He's running in 3rd place now. So AJ Allmendinger is in the lead of the race and looking to clinch a championship. And there's a flat tire there for car number 15. That's Alex Tagliani. He's running in 7th place, so he's lost the whole tread on that tire on the Team Australia entry. He's going to bring that car around to make a pit stop. He was running in 7th place, was Tag, and he's of course going to lose several positions there as he comes around one more time.
So that's very, very interesting. Because he's just tiptoeing right now. It's so easy to damage something in the car here. As we look at some of Sebastian Bourdais' career accomplishments, Jeremy.
Just an amazing career he's had. He won the French Formula 3 Championship in 1999. 3 years later, the Formula 3000 Championship. And then he came over to North America, won the Rookie of the Year at the first attempt, of course, in 2003. Since then, 2 straight championships and gunning for a 3rd here this year as well. But the most amazing thing to me are the percentage stats. Wins, 39% of his races started, he's won. Podiums in almost 60% of his races, almost 2 out of 3. Poles, 44% of the times of his races, he started from the pole. Unheard of records in the Champ Car World Series, James.
It's almost inhuman what he's able to do. I mean, like you say, you look at those numbers, and he came into this series absolutely kicking. So look at some replays here of Catherine's incident. This is the kink. Now she's back. She's already around, and she hits the wall with phenomenal force. The car flies up in the air, catches the fence a bit. The motor breaks off as she comes back down, and the tub continues to go. As the gearbox and the rear tires up in the air there, as the tub barrel rolls down the outside of the track there. Incredibly scary shunt there. We're all fingers crossed, praying now for Catherine's safety. Hopefully she's all right. The safety team got there within seconds of the accident to try and tend to Catherine. We have not been able to see if they got the tub back over, what kind of condition the tub managed to be in, but
well, of course there is a safety cell on these cars. It's a composite shell with honeycomb and carbon fiber and Nomex in that strength. The tubs are immensely strong. It's kind of a survival cell, if you like, that goes around the driver. And the red flag is coming out as we speak. There is Alex Tagliani being in his Team Australia car onto pit lane. There is the red flag being waved by J.D. Wilbur. So we're going to bring the cars to a halt on the start, we're presuming on the start finish straight, and we're going to try and get this race restarted again. So again, a good call by the Champ Car World Series officials to bring this race to a halt right now with all that debris out on the track. You don't want anybody else picking up any more debris on their tires. It's a very scary shunt. And going back to the strength of these cars, I mean, we've seen over the years some horrific accidents, and the drivers, they're in this cocoon, they're strapped in, of course. There's padding, safety padding around the helmet area. There's been immense advances also in helmet technology over the last few years, but still that's a very frightening accident that Catherine's befallen Catherine.
Yeah, it's one of those, just one of those things, you know, the kink at Road America is one of those corners that's known for things like this, because when it does go wrong, and it goes very wrong. So it's you know, it's a little unfortunate they weren't able to throw the red just a little bit earlier. They threw the red just as the cars were coming through the first corner, so they'd already passed pit lane. We're going to have to do another lap, and you know, all the drivers who are in their cars right now coming through are going to have to pass that scene one more time. And as a driver, that's never something that you like to see, especially when you're in the car. To drive by an accident scene like that is never good. But these guys are they're professionals, and this is what they do. So the red flag, as we've said, is out. The race has been essentially paused with 4 laps remaining. I'm not sure if they'll count this one or not. So when we get this race back underway, it'll be 3 or 4 lap sprint to the finish with AJ Allmendinger leading the field. The Ford pace car, of course, controlling everything right now as they head down through turn 8, coming up to the carousel, the corner preceding the kink where the accident has happened. So, like we said, hopefully there's been some progress made with Catherine and her condition. and getting her out of the car. So we'll just wait and see at this point. That's all we can really do, Jeremy.
It is indeed, and they're going to bring the cars to a halt here, and the plan now is to get the race back underway again, to finish under green. Again, a good call. Certainly there's a lot of debris down there. They want to make sure that Catherine is taken care of and her condition stabilized. We've heard nothing yet from the safety team, but we're certainly hoping that everything is going to be okay down there. Here's again another look from a different angle. This is looking into the kink. You see that new section of racetrack there to the left for the motorcycles there.
They should give us a better indication of what.
See what
Is
happened.
that-
There's a little flash of something there. That's Catherine's car, the second car in the picture, going into the kink. It looks
That's
like
not the rear wing end plate. Oh my goodness! If that's a rear wing end plate or something along the lines, you can see it. We
to
don't
the
have
right side of the picture. We don't
right
have
near the wall there. It's a white line, and so as she turns in, she will have very little rear downforce. And
you can see the car stepping out already. The
it's
back end is
already
coming
gone.
around, James.
She's already a passenger at this point, and that'll be fifth, maybe already sixth gear by that point in a Champ car, well over 150, 60 miles an hour. And there, like I said, there's not much runoff there at all.
And you can see where the tyre wall was there. If you went absolutely straight on there, you'd hit the tyre wall. But I think in this instance, it's kind of good that you hit the concrete wall rather than the tyre wall, because what the tyre wall does, it tends to just grab the car, whereas if you hit a concrete wall, at least bounces off it. And it's able to, it doesn't dissipate so much energy in such a short space of time, and that is a really scary thing. We've seen several instances in the past where you catch a tyre and it just stops the car dead. A concrete wall, it sounds pretty scary, but it might be the best thing in that situation to hit not the tyres, but the concrete wall, and then the car will sort of cartwheel as it did there, and as it's cartwheeling, it's dissipating energy, but in a relatively constrained manner. So there is a look at the rear wing on that car. That is the Belt Micro. Looks like the top element of that rear wing came off as she came into the kink. We don't know, of course, why, but I mean, that is the worst place that could happen. And as James Hinchcliffe said, when you go into that corner there, you need every bit of downforce and grip from that car. And if you've lost the rear wing, you've lost hundreds of pounds worth of downforce, and that is the difference between going through that corner flat out and crashing. Down to Jon Beek.
And Derek, of course, Alex Tagliani came onto pit road, so we have a car to look at. And here is this two-element wing. This is the main element you were speaking about. Here is the element that I assume you're talking about came off. I didn't get to see the replay, but certainly if this element somehow left, you're exactly right. There is essentially no downforce on this once you lose the flap. No way our driver could control it.
So there it is. That was a look on that the rear flap there. Thanks, Jon Beek is down in the pit lane. The cars have been brought to a halt here in Parc Fermé, so no work is allowed to be done on any of these cars, and the drivers stay in their cars waiting to get the word. Here again, you can just see underneath the Suzuki, the S of the bridge, behind the third car in that line. You see that white thing just flying through the air. That is the top element on the rear wing on Catherine Legg's car, and as she turns into that corner, you know, she's that's going to be absolutely terrifying for Catherine. She doesn't know what's happened to that car. All she knows is, James, as she turns into that corner, she's out of control.
It's the most frightening place for that to happen. And I mean, it would have happened so fast she wouldn't have had much time to react or even know what was happening. So Catherine Legg, pretty serious accident here at Road America. Red flag of the race.
So the cars are stationary on pit lane here, and everybody waited with bated breath for some sort of word from the safety team to hear that Catherine is going to be just fine. We're certainly hoping that is going to be the case, and it was a terrifying looking shunt. She took a massive tumble there down at that infamous kink here at Road America. It's claimed so many cars in the past. They've done a lot of work on this racetrack to improve the safety aspects. In the past, we've seen cars off into the trees there. We saw bits of Catherine's car going over that hugely high debris fence and into the trees there, but every bit of the safety structure there did its work on the car and the racetrack as well, James.
Yeah, everything seemed to, as we were touching on before, the cockpit, the monocoque chassis that we sit in as drivers it seemed to remain pretty well intact. Although she did roll over quite a few times. That's drivers can walk away from rollovers very often. So the team obviously is. The safety team, rather, obviously is working very hard on assessing her condition and getting her out of there as soon as we can. It's interesting. We touched on the higher downforce setup that that Catherine was running, because that's when she was more comfortable, that would put more strain on the wing elements of the car. As the wing stands more upright to produce more downforce, that's more force, more air hitting it, which would stress the part more. But you know, there's only one thing worse than a driver making a mistake leading to an accident like that, and that's a mechanical failure leading to a mistake that caused an accident like that. There's nothing the driver can do, and it's one of those things that just shouldn't happen in racing, but unfortunately sometimes it does.
Yeah, we've seen several mistakes or mishaps this afternoon. The wheel fell off the CTE car. That was just one of those things that happens, and this is another of those things that happen in motor racing. And there is the scene down in turn 11, and the cleanup process is underway, and parts of one of the safety trucks moving away there. We haven't seen what is happening. We haven't heard anything from race control. We'll bring you anything as soon as we hear it, but they are certainly moving some pieces of that car out of the way and getting that debris off the racetrack. And the race officials are hoping to get this race underway again, but of course that's not, our thoughts are not about that this afternoon. There is what remains of the tub of this Lola chassis on Catherine's car, so she clearly has been extracted from that car. She is on her way to the infield care center right now. We do not, and we have not heard anything from the safety team or the care center, but she is in very, very good hands, let me tell you. So, but that is what our thoughts are about this right now.
That in fact may have been, and I could be wrong, mistake me or correct me if you know something else. That could have been the back half of the car that was in that tarp, because I didn't see an ambulance presence. I don't think Catherine would have been extracted yet. That might have been the back half, the engine, the gearbox, the rear wheels, because that did separate from the rest of the car. I'm not entirely sure. But we are, still holding station here under red flag conditions.
And only 2 crew members from me, each car allowed to go to their driver and stay with the driver at this stage in the proceedings. There are all the cars lined up at the very beginning of pit lane here at Road America, all stationary behind the Ford Mustang GT pace car. And we've got, we're going to try and get down to the pit lane momentarily, but in the meantime, we can say that we're still waiting word, and as soon as we hear anything, we'll bring it to you. But right now, the cars are stationary.
I have the president of Champ Car, Steve Johnson, who was just at the back of the ambulance when they unloaded Catherine Legg. I'm not asking you for a medical update, but what did you see?
Well, Catherine gave me a smile and gave me a thumbs up when she went by, so that's a good sign. Just our prayers are with her and her family, and hopefully everything's okay.
That's fantastic. We'll wait for the official medical update. Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
This is what's happened to him so far this weekend. There is the media attention after setting the fastest time on Friday, and it's confirmed then on Saturday that he is the pole man, and he comes up with some weird mannerisms as young Dan Clark, but he's quite a character, and he's shown a lot of speed through this season. As I said earlier on, he started the first race of the year, ended up with the 4th fastest lap of the race. Having said that, through the first, I think 7 or 8 races of the season, only 1 race did he not have contact with somebody at some stage during the race. But lately, James Hinchcliffe, he's been exemplary his performance.
It really has been one of those up and down kind of years for Dan Clark, but as any driver wants to do, he's really ending the season on a high note. He started off obviously very rough, very quick, but just rookie mistakes, a lot of accidents, contact with other drivers, and things seemed to be kind of going south for him. But then there was this sudden revival, a turnaround, and he just started to have it just pumped off this string of phenomenal results. The first of which was going to be a sure podium in San Jose before his car cut out on him while running second. I believe it was a gearbox issue in San Jose. So, but since then, he was repaid with a podium in Denver and then another top 5 in Montreal, and a great position right here with what should be about 3 laps remaining when this race gets going. And we see some of the drivers now who were out getting back into their cars. A.J. Allmendinger, our leader, getting strapped back in. Bruno already in. Sebastian never got out, neither did Justin. So everyone seems to be getting ready. We should be going green relatively soon as the repair work on the fence down in the King is finished. Down to Cameron.
CDW number 9 Roosport entry of Justin Wilson. And Justin, a little bit of a tough weekend for you. Have things kind of come together for you here in the race?
Yeah, it's been difficult, but we've had a good race. We've made good progress. We've been at the front of this Q1, but dropped back in that last pit stop. So, hopefully we can make some moves in this last couple of laps and get back up and get on the podium.
We know that you're traditionally a great starter, and this restart is a good game for you. Do you have a strategy you care to share with us?
I'm just going to go for it. You see what Sebastian and Bruno do, if they put a move on AJ or if they're going to sit back and wait. But if I get the opportunity, I'm going.
Well, there you have it. He's going to go for it. He has a few drivers ahead of him that are also known for going for it. We'll see how it shakes down.
So there is Justin Wilson. He will restart 5th when we get this race back underway in, we believe, just a few minutes now. And there is the CDW car of Justin. Here's a look back to the Cleveland race. He'd been finished in the top 3 or 4 every race, the first few races of the season. He had the suspension failure in Cleveland, then he went to Edmonton, and finally there, the first checkered flag of the year for the Rousport team and for Justin Wilson. A great drive by the Englishman there, and then he went to Montreal a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, and he made the move there on Jan Halen going down into the chicane, but carried a bit too much speed into there, and the champions wall on the exit captures yet another champion, the former Formula Palmer Audi and the Formula 5 3000 champion Justin Wilson. Down to pit lane again.
And the best news is that Catherine Legge has walked out of the medical center under your own power. How are you feeling?
A bit shaken, but I'm okay, as you can see. Oh, sorry. All my bits are intact, so it's good. It goes to show how strong the cars are. It was a big impact, but hopefully everything will be fine for surface.
I'm sure you've been told now, but at the time, were you aware that the car broke?
No, I don't think you're really aware of what's going on, you know. All of a sudden it just sped up and hit the wall, and then I see ground and there's dirt coming in, and I see the fence, and honestly you're thinking, you know, what's going to happen next? I think I saw bits breaking off and going all around me, and I think that I saw the engine split away because the car caught on fire, and the thing that scared me the most was, oh my god, it's going to catch fire. And then when the engine went away, I'm like, okay, well, that's good. So yeah, it was a bit scary.
And as far as you know, you can recall all the moments of the incident?
I think I had my eyes closed for a lot of it, to be honest.
But you were limping somewhat. I mean, where do you have some injuries?
Oh, I just banged my knee. When you get thrown around in the car upside down, you bang your legs on the bulkhead and on the steering column and stuff. So just a bit of bruising, which won't look too attractive in my dress in the Atlantic banquet tonight. But.
Well, it's just such a great experience to see you smiling. I know you want to quickly get out to the pits to say hello to your crew, but
yeah, I don't
thankfully,
think the car, are they?
No, they're not going to. But thinking about getting back into, I mean, it's a bit early, but thinking about the mindset of getting back into one of these cars that can do that, explain that.
I'd get back in and finish the race. I think you have to be a bit detached to be a race car driver, right? You have to have a bit of a screw loose. Honestly, it's just one of those things. It goes to show how strong they are. Yes, it was scary, and yes, that's the chance I take when I drive one of these cars. It's what I do. You know, it's probably more dangerous riding horses or something like that. So you just have to put it to one side and have a healthy respect for it, but move on and keep doing what you do.
Well, if riding horses is more dangerous, I think I'll stay away. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you very much.
Amazing, Jane, that she can have such a great sense of humor after going through that traumatic experience.
Absolute class act there. She gets on the golf cart with team owner Kevin Kalkoven. Looks as though that might be a piece of her car or something that might have been left of the nose cone. Oh my God, split right up the middle there. That is just brutal. But no, she is an absolutely phenomenal spirit. Cracking jokes, just brilliant stuff.
Quite remarkable she is. And there is Kevin Kalkoven there, her team owner, driving her back to the pit lane, and certainly just a massive relief all around here. And again, you know, I can't stress enough a testimony to, oh look, there's one of her fans there. And again, a lot of these pink ribbons here this weekend as a result of this tie-up between Ford and Catherine Legge and the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. It's a very worthwhile cause, and you know, throughout the many fans here carrying those pink ribbons. Great to see.
Yeah, I was wearing one earlier as a bandana, but apparently that's very unstylish for a man, so I was forced to take it off. But regardless, it was like you say, it's a fantastic cause, and glad that they could be part of the weekend here, the Champ Car weekend here at Road America.
Unfortunately, both Eurosport and Motors TV didn't cover the remaining laps of this race after the crash, despite the best of our ability to find any additional coverage from the international feed. We will now rejoin the action with 3 laps to go with the original American commentary team as they about to go green flag racing one last time.
Preparing for a restart now. Scoring is showing us with 3 laps to go. Yellow flag being displayed, so the laps are being counted. There'll be 2 to go this time by, and we're assuming that we will see green this time by as well.
We're going green this time. Going green this time.
Wow, not even a couple of laps to warm these tires. Okay, this will be uncharted territory here. So Allmendinger, young, brash, and brave, says they're going to have to crash me if they want to pass me. Junqueira, two-time winner here in the past, but no success this year. This is going to be important, this run up this front straight.
Getting ready to go green. There'll be 2 laps to settle things at Road America. We're underway.
Green flag.
Bruno's on the power. Bruno has the light flashing.
Allmendinger, your leader.
Oh, here
Oriol
comes
Servia on the inside. Junqueira chasing Allmendinger into one. Can't get him, but Servia has picked up a spot. He got by Wilson for 4th. Oriol Servia was on the button there and took over 4th.
Very good run by Servia. Clark now behind Wilson. However, can Allmendinger still stay ahead of Junqueira? Looks good so far.
White flag next time by. There's about 3.5 minutes to settle things here today at Road America.
Turn
A
5.
third.
Second slowest corner. Oh, Allmendinger looks good on cold tires here. Looks good.
That car has been working great the second half of this race today.
There's Karen. There's Mom. Karen Allmendinger.
Talked to Dad Greg Allmendinger earlier in the weekend, feeling much better after he fell off a golf cart back in midsummer.
Can you see the dark groove on the racetrack? That's what Mike Cannon mentioned. When the more rubber that went down, the better their car got.
Remember, this is really the first dry running these cars has had all weekend.
Catherine's corner, Catherine's kink. Oh, they're safe.
They blew the track off there to make it safe.
They have the jet dryers. They bring them here also. Junqueira closes up in the brake zone. He's a little bit closer. There's his crew. Not sure after one lap they believe he has enough.
Allmendinger the leader, white flag this time by Junqueira, who led laps before the red flag is second. Allmendinger, after the final round of pit stops, got the lead.
See how wide they go off the corner, off the curb, into the little hole by the grass. White flag.
AJ, 1 lap to go.
A.J. Allmendinger, who made his NASCAR debut a week ago in New Hampshire in a Craftsman truck, hoping for his 5th win of the Champ Car World Series season and a chance to draw closer to Bourdais in the championship hunt. No change among the top 3. 4th is Servia.
So far the championship is open. It is not clinched by Sébastien Bourdais. Junqueira's on the button again, on the juice. He can't have much left.
This is his last shot. Clock ticking down. If he doesn't get him here, he's out of power to pass. Gonna try it on the inside, downhill.
No, didn't do it.
Allmendinger closes the door.
Okay, there's one last shot. Down to Canada Corner is the fastest straight on this racetrack. Does he have any more?
Nope,
Any more juice?
Bourdais has one more shot, as does Servia, as they come off the final turn if they want to use it. Allmendinger is your leader.
Fiance, bottom left of the screen. No, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it.
Allmendinger by 8 car lengths over Junqueira. Bourdais is 3rd.
No. You'll not beat Allmendinger from that far behind on the last lap.
That Forsyth Index team and that 7 car with their young driver A.J. Allmendinger, they have been perfect here in the second half of the season. Flawless run today. For second spot, Bourdais trying to put a move on his teammate. Now does Bruno defend the position?
Oh, kicks up the dust, trying to defend the position.
A.J. Allmendinger rolling to victory lane after a red flag stop. Bourdais on the button.
Your dream ride, but great job with it, Hot Rod. Way to go.
A.J. Allmendinger. You heard Michael Cannon call him Hot Rod on the radio. Allmendinger bags his 5th win of the season. His first start in the Champ Car Road America came right here, and Allmendinger gets the victory.
Well, of all the races Bourdais has won, he's never won here. Wow, what an afternoon this has been.
We've seen a little bit of everything today. Bruno Junqueira comes home second on the podium again, his best run of the year. Cameron Steele.
Well, a very elated championship team, a Forsyth Index team. Michael Cannon, not even sure how many wins that is on the season.
It's amazing. going into this race, I thought at the end of the race I'm going to have to apologize for AJ for having to drive that piece of crap around all day. He just drove the wheels off it. I am so impressed. His race pace is just magnificent.
What I started to say, we're talking about the championship, and Bourdais could have clinched here. I mean, this definitely changes the face of things, doesn't it? And then Junqueira finishing second as well.
Yeah, very mature for Sebastian just to sit there and chip away. He knows he can get a bit closer again. He's got a couple of racetracks he's very good at. We're just going to have to keep winning him and hope something happens to him. It'd be nice to win more races than the championship winner does.
He's going to do some donuts. You talked about a push all day today. It didn't seem to be a factor, did it?
No, the track definitely came to us. We didn't have time to make the adjustment. We were reluctant to because we're racing people in the pits. And as the track rubbered up, it just got better and better. It was very good at the end.
Celebrations all around. A great job by A.J. Allmendinger.
So Allmendinger wins his 5th of the season for Forsyth Championship Racing in a great run. Celebration up and down pit road in their pit stall. But I don't know, to me, Derek, the story of the day is Catherine Legg walking out of the medical center after the hardest wreck we've seen in the years we've been covering the Champ Car World Series. Allmendinger on a victory lap. Junqueira second. Bourdais on the podium third. The championship fight will continue to Australia, Jan Beekes.
And you talk about Bruno Junqueira, second place. And at the beginning of the day, when he was stopped on the racetrack, Tom Smith, his race engineer, it's actually turned out to be a pretty good day.
It was a good day for us. We got a little bit lucky the way the yellows fell, but there's no doubt that we had a great car today and possibly good enough for a win, but at the end we didn't have it.
Was it timing with the power to pass? Because he used it a few times when AJ could not, but it seemed like he just wasn't quite close enough for that draft.
No, he wasn't. I think the car built a bit of understeer through the race, and at the end we had too much understeer to stay close to AJ in the turns, and therefore couldn't keep it tight enough to use the overtake and take advantage of it.
Thank you, Tom.
No problem.
Well, the Newman Haas team will go back to the drawing board as we see their cars finish second and third today. Certainly a great result for most teams, but not the championship clincher that Sebastian Bourdais was hoping to apply to the field here today. Allmendinger will salute the fans as he rolls around the racetrack headed to victory lane here at Road America in the series return to Elkhart Lake. Here's the way the top 10 came across the line. Allmendinger, Junqueira, and Bourdais. And then you had Wilson fourth in front of Serbia. Actually, we have Serbia shown in front of Wilson here, according to timing and scoring on the final lap. And then you have Dan Clark and Zwolsman, Andrew Ranger, Jan Halen in ninth. A great run for him. Paul Tracy, after that trip into the gravel trap, gets credit for 10th here today. Tagliani, Dominguez, and Power next in line. Cameron.
I'm catching up with Bruno Junqueira, who's getting his gear off. Another podium for Bruno, but you got to be frustrated. A lot of people talking about you coming in here and being one of the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, you had the race under control, and unfortunately, I think Nelson Philippe hit, and I had to pass him. So when I passed him, I lost, like, on my outlap, 3 or 4 seconds. That gives the chance of AJ to pass from the pit stop because he took a gamble and stayed longer. It's a shame, but good job for the Newman Haas race. Starting from 10th, you had a good car. Shame I couldn't get by AJ in the end.
We saw you using the power to pass, just wasn't enough. Did you think you were going to be close enough on that downhill?
Yeah, I thought, I don't know, I mean, I don't know what's happened on the last set of tires. I don't know if something happened with the car because of the first crash, probably on the car. And the car had a lot of fun this year, but I couldn't get by him.
All right, thank you, Bruno. Send it back upstairs.
All right, Bruno Junqueira in second here today. 58 points, the gap now between Bourdais and Allmendinger. 2 races to go. Justin Wilson's chance is still alive as well, Derek Daly.
Great place to bring a championship fight. Surfers Paradise, Australia. Next up.
Paul Tracy, who's had such a difficult year, has moved to 4th in the championship. Allmendinger ready to get out of the car. Jan Beekes.
AJ Allmendinger, just moments ago we talked to him, but now the payday. AJ Allmendinger with another win. He's doing the traditional jump into his crew. Again, he has just been unbeatable this year with the Forsyth crew. Comes around to his dad. We mentioned him. AJ, we don't have time to talk to you. We're going off the air. Fantastic. Oh, just a quick comment from you. Just those last few laps. Tell us about it.
That's the best team in the world because I didn't know how we got in the lead. I didn't know how we were leading the race. And I wasn't letting those guys pass me. They're going to have to crash me and get around me. I'm not letting a French guy clinch on American soil. It ain't going to happen.
AJ Allmendinger, another victory here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. A fantastic day, a huge crash with a good result, and A.J. Allmendinger is the winner.